I think Filthy has been gone for an hour.
Today, I just got my first job in sales. Any helpful tips for a beginner to someday become an assassin?
Find somebody to work under, I guess. Find someone who's already exceeding in whatever kind of sales you're in, and kind of model yourself after them. See what they're doing so right.
Okay.
How do you become an assassin?
Guy wants to become, what is he again? An assassin.
Assassin.
Is that what you referred to yourself as, Kyle? Is that
That's
why
what
you
I was
it?
referred to as. It's.
Kyle.
I did
And
not
he answered in response.
I did-
Yes, assassin.
I did not dub myself the assassin. It was just, the manager was like, he'd always be like, when he was asking for his good salesman, where's my assassins at? Where's my assassins at? And he'd always be like, you my number one assassin.
Kyle was
Because
part
he
of
was-
an elite group of salesmen known as the Assassins.
I literally was, but it sounds sillier than it is.
Yes, because it's actually
It's
not
pretty
silly.
silly.
Yeah.
It
only sounds that way.
He was like, raise your hand if you're an assassin. It was serious business. Like, you could tell the difference between the guys who knew what they were doing and could fucking put somebody together, and the guys who were just kind of order takers. I don't know.
What were those guys' names?
Yes.
The
Were they
underlings.
samurais? Were
Make
they-
eye contact with those people.
Sheep.
Did you guys have like a grading system, kind of like in swim class when you're a child, where you go from like guppy to dolphin to shark?
Shark.
Like that, but there was like, there's a plaque on the wall where they keep track of salesmen of the month, and there's like, everybody knows what everybody else is doing. Like, you're working on an open floor.
Your name was written in marker board there with quote the assassin right there. So
You start out as an Irishman and have to
There was-
work your way up.
But I don't know. It was a very competitive thing, and there was definitely like 2 or 3 different classes of people in there of salesmen. There were the guys who sold a lot of cars and did really well and were always kind of relaxed. There were the guys who were always borderline and they were always stressed out of their minds and weren't that much fun to be around. And there were the guys who were failing. There was this one guy who had like a prior crack addiction, this incredibly disgusting fat ugly wife, and like 3 or 4 babies who all were like X amount of months old. You know what I mean? There's like, oh yeah, that's the 3-month-old baby, and that's like the 12-month-old baby, and that's the 18-month-old baby. Like, they had like an extreme amount of toddlers at this guy's house. And he was just such a fuck up, and I don't know, he just completely fell apart. Ended up back on crack, out of state, broken down, like whole life fell apart, went back to prison. Like, car sales is not an easy thing to do. Most of the people fail.
Even harder than car sales is having a 12-month and an 18-month-old baby.
You got to have a couple of women on deck.
Yeah,
This
you gotta
guy,
have a couple of baby mamas.
this guy was gross. He had a rough life though. There were a lot of guys that came through there that you just felt sorry for, that had like lots of stuff going on at home and needed that money, but they couldn't sell a fucking car.
Yeah, what can you do except for ink their face and ruin it further?
I'd take his chair. like he's got the customer sitting at his desk, and he's like, "All right, sir, I'll be right back. Let me just talk to my manager." I'm Rich Dimeville. That was his name. And I'd steal his fucking office chair, like his chair. And he'd come back all like, doing his walk with his papers, I got a great deal for you, sir. Let me just, where'd my chair go? And like, I would steal the chair when the customer wasn't looking. Like, one of us would distract the customer, the other would take it, and they wouldn't notice. Why are they paying attention to the other guy's chair? So the customer would be like, "Oh, I don't really know." And so like every now and then he'd get into a little bit of a tiff with the customer. He's like, "What do you mean you don't know? You've been sitting right here. Like where'd my chair go?" And he'd try to laugh it off, and the customer's like, I honestly don't know. I'm not sure if you had a chair. I had a chair. Like, where do you think you sit all day? I had a chair, and we're all over there like, like, we just fuck with people all day because there's so much waiting around and doing nothing and cold calling, which is lame. So there was just lots of downtime, and we're cruel people. So that's what it's
The
like.
underwear thing is definitely the worst thing I think you did.
It's pretty bad. I stole a lot of deals from people. I was a real, like, I'd swoop in and take half your deal. Like, if your customer comes in and you're not there, me and you are splitting that money now. Like, because I'm coming in writing that paperwork up. I could do a deal jacket, which is like all your paperwork, like super fast by the end. Like, it was, I don't know, 5, 6 different pieces of paper, and I already had them all filled out. So I was always the first one to swoop in and not really steal somebody's deal, but kind of steal somebody's
So would that
deal.
other person be there at that time?
Nah, if they're there, there's nothing you can do about it. But like, they take their
Nothing you can do about it.
Steal
God
from them
damn it.
there. But if they're on a break or they're not, if that's their day off, then like I'm not going to give you a courtesy call or anything. I'm going to sell this car. Like I don't have time for that.
Would people give you courtesy calls?
That's a horrible person.
I didn't take my days off. I didn't need courtesy calls.
Look at this guy. Fucking
I didn't. It was a just one of the assassin. I remember Easter and like guys being like, hey, can I get off early? And I'm just like, no, this is Easter. They're not working. They're buying. Like, what do you want to go home for Easter for? What are you going to do? Look for some eggs with your kids? Let's make some money. Like, I never understood that. They always put it off.
Slept in my chair.
Anyway, that's how you do that, I guess. Find somebody who knows what they're doing and work under them and work hard. Try.
Wow.
Sage advice.
Work hard and try. But no, Kyle.
You know, I've never
it's
heard
not
that.
related to that. It's just who you're lucky to be born under, right? It's the people who, the good car salesmen, their dads were good car salesmen too. Passed it along.
That's true. I heard on MSNBC that 100% of poor people die poor.
There's no social mobility in the United States. It's the land of inopportunity.
I'm curious what that number is of how much wealth is actually inherited.
I'm sure it's bullshitted by whatever part you want to be, because they'll be like 0% of people who were born with a net worth of 0 achieve true richness, defined as $1 billion or more.
I saw a thing on Reddit the other day, and it was something about the first black female millionaire was a slave formerly or something like that, and she was like a self-made millionaire. Yeah. So like when you see something like that, you're like, yeah. So she was property at first, and then she made $1 million. Like
That's because that generation had so many opportunities. The slavery boomers.
Oh yeah.
You don't hear that a lot.
That's definitely a majority.